in a minute so you can think about how you would carry this over. But for the sake of argument, here's what I would do if I was a coach then. I would bring you into practice, and the first day of practice I would say, here's what I want you to do. I want you to start on this line. I'll blow the whistle, and I want you to run as far as you can wide open for 10 seconds. I want to see how far you can go. When I blow the whistle after the 10 seconds, I want you to slow down, walk or jog for the next 2 minutes around the field until you have fully recovered your energy and your oxygen and you can talk to me normally again. And then I'll run you on the next one, and then I'll let you recover for a couple of minutes, and then I'll run you the next one. Are you all with me? 2 days later, the recovery period is only 1 minute and 45 seconds. 2 days later, it's 1 minute and 30. 2 days later, 1 minute and 15. And at the end of a couple of weeks of training, the young man can run wide open for 10 seconds, and by the time he gets off from underneath the pile and gets himself back to the huddle again, gets the next play, and walks back up to the line of scrimmage, he's got all of the ATP back in his system again, and he can perform. So I'm able to tell my athletes now, there's no excuse for you being tired at the end of a football game. You have to learn about which energy system does what. But let's take this athlete who we have running wide open for 10 seconds, and they start to slow down. Which energy system now? It's the next one. It's called the lactate system, or the no oxygen system, or the anaerobic system, without oxygen. How many of you ever done this? How many of you ever ridden a bicycle, walked up steps, got a little burn in your thighs? That's lactic acid. So your body switches energy systems and learns to work on its lactic acids or its lactate system, which allows you to perform from 10 seconds to about 3 minutes at the next level of intensity. In track and field, that's about 400 to 800 meters. And it's still not an oxygen system. You're not using much oxygen there. You're using almost all carbohydrates. While you're switching to that energy system, the lactate system, your body is putting back the ATP, PC, in case you need it again. But I'm out there coaching you, and I have you running first wide open, and then you begin to slow down. Now we've run for about 3 minutes, and I'm still yelling at you to run wide open, but you can't, so you slow down some more, and your body switches gears again, and it switches to what's called the glycogen system, the oxygen system, or the aerobic system. Now you begin to run slower, and your body uses oxygen as its primary source of energy, the aerobic system. And that system runs primarily from about 2 to 3 minutes to 2 hours as your primary energy source. And finally, about the 2-hour mark, if you keep going, your body will begin to burn fat as a primary source of energy. So if I'm working with a cross-country athlete, I'm going to work on the fat system. I'm going to work on making that athlete run longer distances, slower, so their body learns how to burn fat as a primary source of energy. How about soccer? Which energy systems does the soccer player use? Mostly the first two and sometimes the third one. They'll use ATP, PC when they're sprinting, but they'll also use the lactate system because they're running a little bit slower. And they'll also use the glycogen system. Basketball uses 2 systems. Swimming would use maybe 1, 2, or 3. The energy systems are very sport specific. And if I have the athlete just do sprints back and forth and they never get a chance to recover that energy system, they will never get in shape. And if the coaches only knew this, we'd get less injuries because the kids would be able to perform maximally for a whole game and not get tired. Football coaches will always tell you, you know why we lost the game? Our defense was on the field the whole game. Why? Weren't you playing against somebody? How come you get tired and they don't get tired? There's no reason for these guys to get tired if you just simply knew how to train them. I took over a football job many years ago at a high school in Southern California that had not won a game for 7 straight years. Not one. I'm introduced as having worked with all these pro teams. The kids are very excited. We're getting ready to start spring practice. And I got all the kids in front of me, and I said, how many of you want to win 9 games next year? And every kid went, yeah! And I said, how many want to win 5 and lose 4? Nobody. So I said, all right, we start tomorrow at 5:30, not 5:31. And here's what it's going to take us to win 9 games. And I said, here's how we are going to train and why we're going to do what we're doing. And here's why we're going to do every single drill we're doing and how we're going to do it and why we're going to build this thing up so you don't ever get tired. I've been coaching for over 30 years now, and in 30 years, I've never lost a game and never lost a match. I've been beat many times. But you're going to have to beat me. You're going to have better athletes than I've got. But we don't get tired. So when the kids come off the field or out of the gym, I can walk up to that kid and I can say, did you give me everything you had while you were out there? And he says, yes, sir. And I say, good job. He gave me everything. But see, the kid wants to know, did I give him everything? And I owe it to the kid to know which energy system does what and how to train a system so it'll work and function. And the coach owes it to you as parents to let you know what the kids are doing and why they're doing it. Wouldn't it be nice if you knew what your coaches were doing? Instead of the kids coming home and you say, what'd you do in practice today? Well, we ran 14 million wind sprints and 47 guys threw up. And mom says, why? He says, I don't know. Well, I think you better know. So you want to understand which energy system does what. The ATP system, PC system runs for up to 10 seconds. The lactate system runs from 10 seconds to about 3 minutes. The glycogen system or muscle sugar system runs from about 3 minutes to 2 hours. And then the fat system takes over for anything that's long distance. And now all you have to do is train the system. Now, I want to talk a little bit about muscular strength and fitness because I want you to understand these terms. When somebody talks to you about strength training, strength is defined by most exercise physiologists as the maximal force you can exert in one voluntary contraction. In other words, I might put you on a bench press and see how much weight you can push up one time voluntarily. Power is work divided by time. The athlete that can do more work in the same amount of time has more power. What sport would involve power? Certainly almost all the sports involve it some time or another. So there comes a time when you have to work on that one. Example, if I was just concerned about your strength, I would see how much weight you can do an exercise with one time. But power, I may want to see that you can do maybe a little bit lighter weight, but you can lift it 3 times while you're lifting it 1 time. That means I've got more power, which gives my youngster an advantage again. Just because you're a little smaller doesn't mean that you have to be any less efficient. Muscular endurance. Think of a sport in which you may need some muscle endurance. Rowing, ice skating, of course, in hockey. I mean, you need in muscle endurance in almost all the sports. If you're a skier, wouldn't it be nice to know that you can go to Ski Hill and pay the $35 and ski down the hill more than 1 time? Just because you can leg press 700 pounds does not mean that you can ski down the hill for 8 hours all day long because you run out of strength and you train the wrong muscle to do the wrong thing again. Training is very work specific. Any skiers in here? During the off season, we've trained you for strength. And the ski hill is now going to open in about 8 weeks, and now I've got you training for maximal muscle endurance, which means we're doing the same exercises. We're doing it with a little bit less weight, but we're doing 50 repetitions in a row with a 30-second rest in between, and you ski all day long and never get tired. And you avoid the person going up on the hill the last time, and they haven't trained properly, and they say, well, I can bench press 485 pounds. Very good. If a tree falls on you, you can get out from underneath the tree. What I'm saying to you is training is very work specific. I have to know what sport, what muscles are involved in that sport, and then how to train that muscle specifically so the athlete can perform. Speed. Speed involves reaction time and movement time. So if you have a halfback in football, I may not run as fast as Dick can. But if I can get to the line of scrimmage faster than he can, I have an advantage. Does everybody in this room have the same amount of strength? Of course not. So if I'm a coach and I have an athlete on my team that weighs 175 pounds and he's against some guy on the other side that weighs 250 pounds, that may be a mismatch. Not necessarily. What if my young man can get to this person before they can move? Big difference. Kids are always telling me that they want to jump higher. They want to jump higher. And they have all this fancy equipment out that you can buy now for jumping higher. It's a very simple process. Go to a wall, get a piece of chalk, reach up and make a mark. Then make a little tambourine and put it on that wall with the rope going over the top with a pulley, and then have the kid stand underneath it, boy or girl, and jump and see if they can outreach it by about 1 inch. Then have them vertically jump without stopping and see if they can touch it 10 times in a row. If they miss it the 9th time, then have them walk around the room for about 2 minutes. Why? recover the ATP again. Okay? Then bring them back and do it again. As soon as they can touch it 10 times, raise it up another inch. And you'll increase their vertical jump 3 to 6 inches in 3 weeks. Just like that. Because you're training that system to do that. This is true in any sport. You can take any sport and all you got to do is figure out what the kids are going to be doing and then try to duplicate the motion. Let's talk about designing an exercise program. 3 sets of 10.